Biology Chapter 8 How Do Organisms Reproduce? Science Bug by Poonam Singh. Before we know the various mechanisms or methods by which organisms, that is, plants and animals, reproduce, we should know why organisms reproduce. Reproduction is not a life process that is essential to stay alive. On the other hand, other life processes like nutrition, respiration, excretion, etc., are necessary for an organism to survive. Moreover, if an organism reproduces, it will require a lot of energy for the process. So, why an organism should waste energy on a process which is not life saving is the question. The answer is that all organisms grow old and die. So, new organisms have to be produced in their place. So, reproduction is essential for survival of the species or maintaining the life of their species on Earth. Just as cats reproduce to give birth to kittens and humans reproduce to give birth to their babies, these kittens and babies grow to become adult cats and humans. So, reproduction ensures that the human species or any other species, plants or animals, continue to exist on Earth. So, now a quick recap. So, what is reproduction? Reproduction is the production of new organisms from the existing ones of the same species. And why reproduction is necessary? I've just explained it to you. That is, reproduction is for maintaining the life of their species on the Earth. We only notice the existence of a particular species because we find many of its kinds which look very much alike or similar. Thus, reproducing organisms create new individuals that look very much like themselves but not exactly the same. Now, the question comes, do organisms create exact copies of themselves? The answer is, of course, no. Let's see how this happens. The organisms of a particular species look similar because their body designs or structures are similar. If body designs or structures are similar, that means their blueprints or genetic makeup is similar. So, reproduction is basically making genetically similar individuals of their own kind, or we can say making their own copies. Chromosomes are the hereditary material present in the nucleus of the cell. These chromosomes are made up of DNA. So, DNA contains all the genetic information which is passed on from parents to their children or the offsprings. DNA, or the deoxyribonucleic acid, contains the genetic information as I have told you. This information is expressed in the form of proteins. If the information is changed, different proteins will be made. Different proteins will lead to altered body designs which may be faulty or with useful variations. Chromosomes are the structures that are passed on from parent to offspring in the process of reproduction. DNA makes proteins by a complex process called protein synthesis. Therefore, in reproduction, 2 copies of DNA are produced, and this is called DNA replication or DNA copying. And this happens with the help of chemical reactions. These 2 copies of DNA should separate in 2 cells for reproduction to occur. These two copies of DNA separate into two cells by cell division processes called mitosis, meiosis, and cytokinesis, which finally lead to the formation of two daughter cells, as they are now called after dividing. As you can see in the above picture, the double-stranded DNA is opening up or unzipping, and each strand is replicating or doubling itself, finally leading to the formation of two DNA double helical structures. This is how two DNA copies are formed from a single DNA. Well, the next question is, are these two daughter cells containing DNAs absolutely identical? The answer is no biochemical reaction can produce 100% same results. So, the biochemical reactions involved in the DNA replication will also not be 100% accurate. As a result, slight variations occur in the two copies of the DNA formed. So, the two DNA copies generated will be similar but not identical. Well, this inbuilt tendency for variation during reproduction is the basis of evolution. That is why the offsprings of a parent resemble each other but are not identical to each other. Now let's learn the importance of variation. The picture here shows three Labrador sibling puppies. They have different furs. These variations in furs is because DNA copying in reproductive cells wasn't accurate and occurred with variations. Now these variations have certain uses. For example, a bacteria may show some variation which may be like tolerance or resistance to excessive heat, and this will help the bacteria to survive in adverse excessive heat environmental change conditions. If all bacteria had been the same, that is without any variation, there would not have developed a single bacteria which would have tolerated excessive heat. So as a result, the entire population would have wiped out in case there were adverse excessive heat conditions. So variations in organisms or offsprings help the species of various organisms to survive and flourish even in adverse environment. So individuals might die, but species will survive on the earth. These small variations in species over a large period of time leads to evolution of a new species, about which we will learn in the next chapter. Thanks for listening and watching so patiently. Please like and subscribe my channel Science Bug by Poonam Singh.